So our theme this month is we're looking at the indigenous tribes, and today we're playing with music. Spirit says to sing your song, you have to sing your song. For those of you who've been to a Native American powwow, what we see when they are drumming, they're chanting, and they're dancing, and we'll see that as we go to any indigenous tribes, how important music is. It's central to everything that they do. So as we learn about tribes, I was looking at different videos of exploring different tribes in the different continents, Africa and Australia. There's the same essential element surrounding music and dance and rhythm and drumming. I remember the very first powwow I went to, I was mesmerized at first by the drumming and the chanting and the dancing, but after about 15 or 20 minutes, I started to get bored. And I realized that was from my more modern mind, because music for me is more of a performance, and dance is a performance. So I was waiting for more interesting things to happen along the way, entertain me. And that's not what they're doing, the music and the singing and the dancing for, is to perform and entertain people. The indigenous tribes use the music to get them into other states of consciousness, so that it's a deep form of prayer, and they're using the rhythmic vibration to carry them into other states. And in those other states, their prayers are moving beyond language into a higher frequency and vibration. So the way to really understand and feel into the music is to feel into it and not look at it as a form of entertainment. I think of St. Augustine, who is the great theologian, Catholic theologian, and his breadth and depth of knowledge is vast. He's written so much. We quote him a lot, not necessarily us, but he is quoted a lot on Christian theology. He absolutely embraced Aristotelian philosophy, using this rational thought to understand spirituality. Near the end of his life, he was in a religious service, and that religious service lifted him up into an ecstatic state of illumination. And he said after that experience, it was like everything that he had written up until that moment was trivial. And from them until that he died a year later, he never wrote another word. That when we move into those ecstatic states, we were talking last week of how the indigenous tribes looked as language, especially written language, as the second creation. It sort of takes energy and condenses it a little bit. When we want direct experience of spirit, we move away from, especially written language, that things that limit us, that we need concepts, that we need boxes for, and we start moving free of those boxes. Pythagoras, he lived in 6th century BC, the Pythagoras theorem, he looked at the human body as musical instruments, and he felt that certain music would heal certain diseases in the body, because we were an instrument, we were a vibrational frequency, and if these certain songs would play, it would heal the body. For those of you who are students of Paramahansa Yogananda, you know that he absolutely is passionate about us learning and accessing sound, that sound is the source of all creation, sound and light. We'll talk about light in the future, keep thy eye single. But this sound, and that every chakra, we have 7 chakras, and every chakra has a certain sound to it. And so he offers these meditation practices to tune in to the different sounds of all the different chakras. And the Om sound is the culmination, sort of the marriage of all these different sounds. Om, and he calls that the first sound of creation. This is essential for him on the spiritual path, is to wake up to this cornerstone of sound. It's a cornerstone of all creation. So when we are moving into music, into this vibrational frequency, we're moving into the essence of our soul that not necessarily can be articulated, but we can feel it. I remember years ago I heard this wonderful, it's not a story, explanation of something that African tribes do. So, because it's been around for a while, you may have heard it. When a mother gets pregnant, the shaman, and in African tribes, they felt that the shaman was also a song catcher. In fact, you couldn't be a healer unless you were a song catcher. You had to be able to catch the music from the other spheres and bring it into form. So shamans caught songs, they caught music. And so the shaman would catch the soul song of this new baby who was going to be birthed into form. And that would be their song. So when the baby is birthed into the world, the whole tribe, the shaman teaches the tribe their song, and the whole tribe sings to the baby their soul song. And that soul song becomes their remembrance of who their soul is. So on their birthdays, they circle each other as a tribe and sing your soul song to you. As they get older and you start acting out and doing things that are out of alignment, they don't put you in prison. They put you in the center of the circle. And they sing your soul song to you to remind you who you really are, what you are doing on this planet and what this earth is. I remember hearing this story. I heard it back in the 90s, and I thought it was so beautiful, and I loved it so much. But for some reason, I never applied it to myself. And I've been reading this book called The Bushman Way of Tracking God, and as I've been reading it, and his love of the indigenous tribes and music, I just asked myself for the first time, what would my soul song be? Do I have a soul song? And it was interesting because I never asked myself that question, but the moment I asked myself that question, I knew immediately what it was. Because what I've learned is we can like a lot of songs, but what they're describing is it's almost like it claims you, like it reaches deep into your beingness and pulls you out. And it's interesting because I was thinking also Yogananda says, if you want to know your purpose in life, go back to your childhood and see what you were interested in. And I've done that. What was I interested in when I was a little kid? But if he had said this, go back to your childhood and said, what was that one song that grabs you? As soon as I got it, it went straight to my heart. Like, you know what that song is, and it grabs you. So for me, it was, I was in church, 5 or 6 years old, and I went to United Church of Christ, and they sang this song, you'll know a Christian by our love. They will know we are Christians by our love. And I remember holding the hands on each side of me in our little circle of kids, singing that with my whole soul. And like, this is who I am and this is who I'm becoming. This is what my life is about. And so as an adult, I sang it to Julian when he was a baby, and I just felt a little limited by the words Christian. So it goes, we are one in the Spirit. We are one in God's love. We are one in the Spirit, we are one in God's love, and they'll know we are Spirit by our love, by our love. Yes, they'll know we are Spirit by our love. We will walk with each other, we will walk
hand in hand. We will walk with each other. We will walk hand in hand. And they'll know we are Spirit by our love, by our love. Yes, they'll know we are Spirit by our love.
I made this one up. We will pray with each other. We will pray heart to heart. We will pray with each other, we will pray heart to heart, and then help and know we are Spirit by our love,
by our love. Yes, they'll know we are Spirit by our love.
We all have those songs, every one of us. When we allow ourselves to go back to our childhood, what was that song that grabbed you and says, this is who I am? This is my soul song. And sometimes we have more than one soul song. When I continue to evolve spiritually, and so I'm at Agape now, and Agape has a lot of songs. They have chants, and they have all their choir songs, and I love the music. That's one reason why people are drawn to spiritual communities with their music, is you start singing the songs, and I sang the songs all the time, the chants and the songs. They knew them backwards and forward. And then someone got up there and sang a song that I never heard. I thought it was an Agape song. It turned out it was not. It was written in 1972. But they sang this song, and it called me. It wasn't I love this song. It drew me in, and it breaks open our hearts, and I have to always sing it by myself because I can't, just too much. And that's what the energy is. That's these soul songs. So this song was my tribute, written by Andre Croce, a gospel singer. To God be the glory. Say one last one. To God be the glory. To God be the glory for the things he has done. Her love, it has raised me. His power, it has saved me. To God be the glory for the things, every little thing she has done. And that was another song. It just called me. And I sing it, and I would sing it over and over, reminding myself who I am and why I am here. And that which is real about me is the divine presence within me that loves me. It's the divine presence that saves me. It's the divine presence that loves through me. And anything that I do is because of this divine presence. And so I sing in glory and thanksgiving to this presence that is moving in, through, and as me. And so as I sing these songs, it's more than words. It's not just concepts. It's this whole vibration, this feeling. As we were talking last week, this energy moves through the heart. It's all about emotion and feeling and allowing our hearts to break open and feeling safe enough to let them break open into infinity. So these soul songs will break our hearts open. If we're just singing them, your song, and it's not impacting your heart, then it's not your soul song, because your soul song will break your heart open. And it's these soul songs that are calling us. And so when we say you have to sing your song, we heard the words today. Kathy said them so wonderfully today that it's not hard to sing, to read a song. The Agape Choir sings that. You have to sing your song. Spirit says you need to sing your song. And I always thought of it more like you have to sing, like give your gifts to the world and shine your light. But I never realized what it literally means, sing your song. Sing it to yourself, just as the tribes would sing it to that person to remind them who they were. We need to sing our soul songs on a regular basis to remember who we are. If we sing those songs for our song 10 or 20 minutes, just allowing it to move through us over and over, I guarantee that in 20 minutes you're going to go through a healing. Ernest Holmes talks about there's nothing to be healed, only God to be revealed. And the God within us is that soul song that we were born to remind us who we are and why we are here. So no matter what's happening in our life, the pain, we've done something we regret, suffering, disease, financial challenges, when our back's against the wall, just as in those words, we sing those songs. We're in fear of any kind. Sing your song. Sing your soul song to yourself. Sing it out loud. Sing it again. And if you're going to sing it for 20 minutes, you're going to change volume up and down. You're going to sing it soft. You're going to sing it loud. You're going to change the rhythmic syncopation to it. And you're just going to start feeling it too. So it starts moving from your head and your heart into your whole body. And it's going to take over your body. You're just going to let the rhythm, because this is how music works. This is how, when we use music as a spiritual force to heal our body, we just allow the words and the music to move through and feel us and be us and vibrate as us, and we will never be the same as we continue to give ourselves to our soul song. So the invitation this week is to find and remember. Remember, it's always been there. It's been there since the day you were born. So it's not like going to be some weird song. You're going to know it. You just might have forgotten it. Like I said, I heard that story 20 years ago, and it never occurred to me to ask the question of what is my soul song. But when I asked myself that question, it didn't. It was like there, right there. So I'm knowing for each and every one of you that discovering and remembering what your soul song is something that's going to be an ease and grace, that you're going to know it. And you may have more than one soul song. And it's not just a song that you love. It's a song that sings you. It's a song that just breaks open your heart, that you feel it's moving you. It's speaking to you as much as you're saying, I love it. It's loving you back. It's giving itself to you. It's alive. So find that soul song today. Don't go another day without knowing your soul song. And sing it to yourself. Sing it over and over and let that healing begin of remembering who and what you are. What I love in this book, The Bushman Way of Tracking God, it's written by a man named Bradford Keeney, who is, first he was in cybernetics, and then he went into family therapy, and then he moved into studying with indigenous tribes. He likens, so in his book, he's going back and forth between the music in New Orleans to the Zahari tribe in Africa. So he's comparing this rich sort of gospel music to the music of the tribe. I also like that he used musicals, and he compared musical music. Ha! To this deep tribe, and what I loved about it was there was no limit to the music. It didn't have to be. I love New Thought spiritual music, but it could be any type of music. It's any music that gets the. So there's the individual soul song, but then there's just music itself. The power of music and letting it move you, letting it move your body. So refers to the jazz funeral in New Orleans. So they have this jazz funeral, and so they have the musicians, and they do a dirge, as Jack was explaining to me, that takes the body to the cemetery. What Bradford Keeney writes about is there's this play between both sides of the veil. So then after the cemetery, it's a celebration. The first line are the musicians, second line is everyone following. It becomes this parade of just music. And he says, like the saints go marching in, and he said, and the saints are playing their instruments, and he was talking about which angels play which instruments. I don't remember which angels play which instruments. The angels and the musicians lead the march. Second line are all the people, and you're dancing, and you're singing, and you're letting the music move you. And he said it's this incredible play of the death and life, the other side of the veil and this side of the veil. We know when someone makes their transition how thin that veil is. And so you're playing in that wonderful vibrational energy of back and forth between the other side of the veil and this side of the veil, and all of it is the music. It's allowing you to move, and so there's dancing, and they're singing, and they're allowing their entire beings to be moved by this thing that transcends time and place. And we can do that in our lives. How important is music in your life? I know for Jack it's not very important. It's just like a little side thing. Or Dwayne. But it's and Biff and Joe, Ben, sorry. But you don't have to be a musician to let it be a central place, to allow music to continue to move through you. I love being on the treadmill. Both Jack and Julian play with my iPod list, so when I listen, I never know quite what's going to be on there. And it's so fun. I'm just on the treadmill, so I'm moving, the energy's moving, and I'm listening to musicals, I'm listening to Imagine Dragons, I'm listening to Earth, Wind, and Fire. It just all comes up, and I'm in love, and just letting all of it move through you. So we start moving up. It's got to be the right kind of music. All music is good. What we want is to allow ourselves to surrender to it, because when we allow our surrender and move to it, that's when things are shifting. There was a line in that song, Sing Your Song, we have to move. And that's one of the things he keeps bringing home, this Bradford Kinney, is that if we're going to grow spiritually, we have to move. It's not about sitting in being stasis, in the stagnant place. And the one thing that's going to get us to shift our energy and to go in, that's why healing happens, Reiki energy. Everything is about moving energy. And music is moving energy. It's very hard to listen to music and not move. And so if we want our lives to continue to be this flow, because spirit is always flowing, this energy is always flowing. It's even now in this room, there's not a solid state, stagnant thing. Everything, our chairs, the floor, the ceiling, the walls, the energy swirling in us, the energy swirling. So we want to continue to feel and allow that energy to move through us. If we want spirit to live through us, as opposed to us living it's living us. We are the vehicles, we are the musical instruments it's playing into the world. We allow this music to move us. We allow it to dance us. We allow it to feel us. And so with that in mind, we're going to give ourselves over to our musicians over here.
Let's get a love train going.